according to the law that's been passed by Congress, they honestly could just come in and say, we are seizing this land for our refuge.
Which will happen once enough people have sold.
Well, potentially. Possibly.
Well, that's what's happening in northern New Hampshire right now. Arrow, I've spoken to Robert Lord up in Arrow, New Hampshire, and that is what's happening to the town of Arrow.
So I think it's safe to say that there are enough reasons that raise our concern, at least with Rock and I. And I spoke with Joel about this earlier too. It's something we do want to watch. So after I received this from Ann, I sent out invites to Rock and to Joel to join me at the 2 meetings that are coming up.
Yes.
I would encourage everybody else to meet with one of us after the meeting, and you can get some information on it.
I would suggest that everyone who owns property should have an interest in going to those meetings. September 17th, 6 to 8 at the Keene Library, and then November 5th, was it?
November 5th.
6 to 8 at the library.
Yep. The 5th one is for public comment. The first one is just for them to give you information.
That's the Dog and Pony Show.
Yes, that's what it is.
October what?
November 5th.
Oh, November?
Yep.
And where's that at?
Both of these
Keene Public Library, both of them, 6 to 8.
So we'll be there.
And you see, I'm very much aware of this because I also know, and we were shown a plan for our area when we were at a tree farm at Andorra Forest, the tree farm convention. And we were shown the plan that goes right up through us too, for the Quabbin to Mount Cardigan wildlife corridor. So we're going to be hit 2 ways, and a wildlife corridor means they don't like breakups, and they don't like roads, and they don't like a number of things.
Okay, so
How did Sunapee opt out?
I don't know.
That's a good question.
I was trying to dig into that further, but I had to come here.
Maybe
Tell where you're living.
Oh,
Then you're excused.
maybe we should
I've
call
also
somebody.
I've been in contact with reps in New Hampshire, and I'm saying that I'm trying to get someone to look into a way that the state could stop this kind of stuff, try to block it. I know Utah, who has a huge problem. A lot of the western states are very much already overrun by the federal, and that the federal then closes the roads. That's what's happened in Utah. The roads are then closed. And in fact, I know up in Arrow, when I talked to Robert Lord a few years ago, he had said that a friend of his was very elderly, that one of his camp was in an area, and he wouldn't sell. They tried to get the people to sell, saying they could use it until they died, kind of thing. And a lot of people sold, but he wouldn't sell, so they closed the road anyway. So the only way he could get there would be by canoe. So this is already happening in New Hampshire.
All right, if anybody wants to see the entire plan or wants to see exactly how big it is, you can see Joel, see Linda. And we are listed in the material as one of those places you can go and review this.
I have to tell you that when we got the call on that, we asked, why are we considered with, because it looks like it is Ash Willis River.
The first stage.
The first stage. And we weren't given any answer.
Oh, really?
Really?
No, he said, what's this got to do with us?
Because
they went over it up.
It's because the overall plan will impact the entire town.
Right.
And they don't want the entire town to get upset. So you gotta know the plan is much bigger than you would originally look at.
Now, if you look at the maps,
Understood.
in the south end of town where our property is, we're one of the hit areas.
Yeah, we're tier 2 though.
We're tier 2. Toner's tier 1.
Tone's tier 1, because I know which properties are Tone, some of them, and they're tier 1. We own 3 parcels. 2 of ours are tier 2, and 1 of them is tier 3, and that's the priority. They go that way, and they keep going down in priority. And so Tone's tier 1, we're tier 2, basically.
So did they send these out to all the towns that were in the thing?
That are involved, that are impacted this time, yes.
Oh, it's just this time, so when they go up north, there's gonna be
Well,
another
you
one?
go on the website, the meeting sites, it tells you the rivers that they're targeting. The Cold River is not in this phase.
And it shows, you can reference the tax map, you can
Yes,
reference
yes.
the lot number to
Yeah.
see if you are within this.
That's how
You
I,
guys are.
yes, we
That's
are.
why you got a postcard,
A postcard.
and I'm not, and that's why I didn't. I'm not in
Right,
this
which
space.
is why I sent it out to as many people as I could, who I figured didn't know about it because they were not going to be impacted, where we're going to be impacted in one of the early stages.
So regardless of whether I'm impacted or not, it's something that impacts some people within the town of Alstead today. Whether and how much further that goes in the future, I can't say.
Well,
But
their plan is much bigger, because I've read
it
the
does
word.
get to be a little skeptical of the federal government sometimes. So,
I definitely,
so I may be downplaying that a little bit. I'm going to continue to downplay it. But I am going to say that it affects anybody, it's a town issue, and we have to look at it.
That would have a tax impact.
exactly,
Big tax
exactly.
impact. You're not gonna get anybody living.
That's what the problem is in Arrow.
Are they going to say no?
The tax revenue in Arrow is going down to the point that the town eventually will not be able to
That's
exist.
Joel, you'll be getting it, you got a check, so you told me.
Well, this is the 15-year plan.
The federal government just authorized so many billions of dollars to start buying land. So as of next spring,
Or easements, they like easements too.
as of next spring, they'll be able to, all the public meetings and all the comment period, all that stuff ends, and then they'll be free to start acting on it.
So
Yeah.
as early as next spring, they could be making it up?
Now, to address the revenue issue,
Tracy's told me.
to address the revenue issue, they do cover that. They say that, well, if we realize there's a lot of impact on towns, and if we were to purchase, even though we're tax exempt, we would work out some sort of an offset so that the town will continue to receive some revenue,
So,
right?
if they have the money appropriated,
Yeah.
don't forget that.
And that always comes in strings.
Exactly.
I
Okay.
didn't realize the government was
Which
so
of course-
flush with money these days.
All they have to do is spend it. You know they have to,
Yeah, they have dollars
They
falling
just
out.
charged 6123.
they could, wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice if they did that? But no, that doesn't serve their goals.
Okay, I don't want this meeting to end up being all about this, but I want to assure you guys it's on both of our
Good,
radars.
because that
We will be at
makes
the
us
public
feel
meetings.
better.
We're going to see what we can do with Sunapee and find out what the root of that rumor may be. If they are able to opt out, we'll discuss that as an option. That does not mean that I'm anti-environment.
No,
I
this has nothing
I
to do
just
with it.
believe that when held in private property, people tend to take care of their own stuff better than,
The Connecticut Blueway, if the river was designated as a blueway by the
I
federal
know some
government,
people up there.
and that was done 3 years ago. And they did it in order to protect the watershed. They want to take, and really not have humans involved.
or farms, keep things interesting. Yeah.
Imagine fertilizer.
What's the definition of a blue line?
It's a river. It's a, yeah.
I'm sure it's
It's
the
a,
different nomenclature for a greenway.
There's a color.
Right.
A green water. No.
it's a blueway, it's a river. It's not a freeway, it's a blueway.
Yeah, greenway would be forest and stuff.
Right.
All right. All right, with everyone's permission, we're going to keep moving so we get through this meeting, but thank you guys for letting me know about it. Like I said, we passed it on and coming to show up and letting everybody else kind of know some of
Yes, I know a lot more, because I've done a lot of research on this over the years.
I understand, and I hope we can, I hope we can do the right thing.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, chief search committees. We will be conducting interviews. We have received notification from 4 applicants. They will be here Thursday beginning at 8 a.m. and going through 2 p.m., interviews, really oral boards with someone from Troop C of the state police. So that will be when the search committee will pretty much have the information to make their recommendation to the selectmen. Once they choose who they like, then I think we're going to start the process of background checks and everything else. We didn't want to start all that until we got it down to a pretty small field because we have to pay a lot of money for that stuff. So that's kind of where the chief
Is the
search
plan to go down to 2? From the 4 go down to 2?
potentially. Yeah, unless we have.
A clear.
Here's if there's somebody who's just, we'll always have a backup. There'll always be a
I
second
think you
place.
need to have that.
Absolutely. But we didn't know what to expect when we got our applications in, resumes and things like that. We don't know how these guys are going to interview. We know they look good on paper. So we'll see what comes out of it from that. But things are moving along. All right, moving along. Lower Warren Brook.
That's
So,
not gonna happen this year.
understand. Okay, so I've been, I accidentally attended a meeting of the Cold River Local Advisory Committee. It's true, I thought it was an AABC meeting. I walked in and I didn't want to be rude, turn around and walk out. So I sat in on their meeting. I've been going to their meetings since then. And they've had this project going on for some years to provide some rehabilitation to portions of Warren Brook. The public, I know, is skeptical of what the value of that may be. There undoubtedly was some change to that section of the waterway when the flood hit. And part of that is to try to remediate some of that. The Cold River Advisory Committee has worked for the last couple of years to try to round up grants and commitments and things like that from various sources to get this work done. They had a contractor. First of all, they had a deadline, which was the end of June, that they had to begin work before certain grants would expire. The contractor that they chose not to contract. He never showed up. So they're not calling him back anymore. They've got a quote from another company. The quote is, I'll say, significantly higher than the first quote, but it allows for certain deductions to that quote to come in, which may make this doable. This will not be done until next year. And the reason I'm saying, I've been asked my opinion by the other selectmen on this thing, and I think I do want to see it continue to move forward at whatever pace it does, for no other reason that there's $170,000 in grant money that's already been drummed up by these guys. They've done a lot of work. So if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm just not of the mind to say, I know you've worked really hard on this for several years, and we're not going to support it. Yeah, go
Can I
ahead.
give you some background on it? Because I don't think that.
Is it suitable in a public?
Yes, it is. Actually, originally, Conservation Commission and the Cold River Advisory were going to do this without the help of the town at all. The town was not involved. What happened is all these federal agencies will not give money to these groups. That's the only reason that we're even included in this. And it's just for the money to run the program.
Correct. Money has to flow from whatever big government slush fund this stuff comes out of through to the contractor, which means it flows through the town.
Right.
Good question.
Yep.
If the town accepts the money, there's always strings.
That's what
So
I
then the town might be liable for anything down the road.
No, we're not, we're just the go-through. And it's not, and to the point that we are supposed to, we get paid like $2,000 to do the bookwork. And the only thing we can be asked to do is
town selectmen have to sign to join on to this, that they might not know what the ramifications that are not published, which happens.
Didn't I see where they wanted $38,000?
No,
Oh,
no.
that's
no
what
money.
they're short?
That's what they're short, they've gotta find that.
Yeah,
It's
we haven't got
actually
that
nothing
far.
to do with us. And some of the money has already been spent,
Yes.
about 17,000.
Taxpayer money, right?
No, money, in fact, we're holding, I'm holding over for the last 2 years, I think it's $17,500.
Yeah.
That's how long this has been going on.
But in the end, it's taxpayers' money.
Well,
Yes, yes.
Yeah, Fed.
And they would like to thank you for your contribution.
Yes.
Yeah, we've all paid into it.
That's a good point that you brought up, so hopefully there's nothing that's gotten under.
Well, I'm aware of that happening, like if they ever ask you to sign for the HUD grant. You don't want to do that without reading the HUD site and the actual documents that then say HUD now has control over your zoning and everything else in your town. And that I'm aware of.
The grants aren't from there, they're from,
Well, the HUD is giving grants in the state of New Hampshire.
Some of these grants are actually from private
donors.
both private donors, charities. Some of it is from moose plates, some of it is from, help me out here.
Let's see, some of it's from Fish and Game,
Yes.
New Hampshire Fish and Game.
Right, there's a difference.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
There's about 8 different donors.
I feel like I'm coming into this thing somewhere around 4 years after it probably started, I don't know. But the only thing that, so if you picture there's about $170,000 in trust money out there, grant money to be spent. The bill for these guys came in at somewhere around $203,000. And what they will do is give credit to the town if the town were to help out in certain areas. So for example, one of the things that's worth $6,000 they would take off their quote would be if somebody goes out there and pokes holes and plants plants. And for example, the Conservation Commission in the high school, or the middle school, I'm sorry, is interested in doing that work. It's just sort of a public service thing. So stuff like that's fine. Where it gets to rocking on, I think, is if we want to go for a $15,000, $20,000 credit for them that would require us moving some material, dump trucks. Now the catch is, and here's where it gets a little Lent-like, is some of this material may have value to David. It may be material that we could actually use on our roads. So if that can offset the cost of us purchasing material, it may be worth it to us. That's why that's up on there. We finally got around to the punchline. Yeah. So that's the thing that in the coming weeks we're going to have to decide whether we wish to commit town resources in the hopes of getting some usable material out of this. Any other comments, questions on that one? All right.
Okay, and what that Elsa Bly's 100th birthday, they're going to give her a birthday party on the 10th at the friendly meal. And Mary Lou called and wanted to be sure to invite the selectmen.
Well, thank you.
What time is it? 11?
11. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And in those, there was a place that I had for the cruiser, then I had down Joel's name. I can white out and one of you guys can sign it.
Stay right, I didn't sign that.
Take us for fools?
No, everything was okay.
Oh, sure. I don't think any of us are willing to put name on anything about that creature now. It was contentious. Yes, we will do that if that is necessary. I know
Yeah,
those
because
guys
she
think
wants to
they-
get it back in, because I want to get the lease payment up to the lawyer.
Yep.
I mean, the lease.
And Roger, you're driving the chief's vehicle?
Yeah, I'm down in Chiefs now.
Great. And not overly excited about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a relationship with the old cruiser, but it's time has come.
All right.
The new Chiefs vehicle.
How long is it gonna take to get?
So who gets?
It's
who
not in
gets-
yet,
Who
but what we
gets?
want to do is we want to get the lease papers, because the lawyer has to look at them.
I'm assuming we'll have it when we have a new chief, maybe?
Who gets the new vehicle? I'm curious now. Roger, I'm sure would like to have it. But who gets it?
It's a shared relationship.
I would say it's probably up to the new, is it going to be up to the new chief? Or?
As it stands right now, that Marcello, his cruiser will remain the Chiefs vehicle, and the new one will be put on the road, just because the officer, you start to spend more time on the road, when the vehicle stops, and it is the safer of the two vehicles. I would end up with it, but that's pending the new chief's decision.
Fair enough. See, that was never mentioned as a selectman's fun vehicle. All right, then I think we've worked our way through everything. Is there anything else open up for public comment, public questions?
I do have a couple of things.
Go
I
ahead.
put my name last anyway, but I always have a list of stuff. I noticed the Scott Pack bottles are being ordered. We should have been ordering 15. I see we want to order 14. There's 30 of them, and there was 15 ordered first time. Should have been 15 ordered for the second. I'm not sure why that was dropped down one. I was just out of money. Just a
That's
curiosity.
the only thing I could think of. Does anybody, fire ambulance, anybody know why you had 29 instead of 30?
Probably ran out of money.
Also, I was going to tell you that PO that's in there, it is already being repaired because it's a trash truck,
Okay.
and the oil was leaking. They were going to.
I saw that.
Yeah.
All right.
Second thing, I got a few things. The 2002 Ford truck is on municipal bid, doing very well, $5,100 right now, so. Yeah, and it's kind of leveled off a little bit, so I'm hoping maybe to squeeze another grand or two out of it, but.
My $200 bid doesn't drive it home?
I don't think so. Well, now it's up to $100 increment, so.
I was looking at our officer's car that he has rejected. I would not suggest the town keep that.
Well, we're gonna evaluate everything, but I tend to agree with you. The next thing is gonna try to get David to get at least the wheels and tires back on the old one. I can get that one listed, see if we can't get something for that. And then move on to the old cruiser, which I don't know what year that thing was, the old beast there, and then just keep rolling through his equipment. This will then get rid of the stuff. The compact, that was on my list.
Okay, the
The compact, there really hasn't been that, I haven't heard anything of that.
Yes, I asked him about it today, and he has not heard back, so we sat down, we investigated and found out who we bought it from,
Yeah, which is right on it, yeah,
and we called them, and they are coming up Monday,
perfect,
and they will actually fix it if it's something that's easily fixable.
yeah. Oh, the right parts with it.
They have a parts truck, that's what they come up with.
Perfect.
Any questions?
No.
All right.
There was something else, sorry. I know we hired another person, but the intersections are still very dangerous for the high growth that are on them. Kids are going back, or actually are back to school now, so now we have intersections that kids are waiting at, that somebody's gonna get creamed on, so. I know you can't get all the roadside mowing done, but at least if you could lean on David a little bit to at least do the intersections, so you can see who's coming around the corners and stuff.
Agreed.
Yeah, why hasn't that been done? Is there a reason?
Delays.
Yeah. Other projects going on and then not having staff to do it, and then debating who was gonna do it. Then we
And
finally got
actually,
somebody.
the paving is not going to be, I think it's the end of next week. You keep
They
getting put off.
Yeah, on that. We're hoping, we're hoping Monday they finish the whole thing.
They didn't.
They didn't, so.
No.
The other suggestion is maybe every other week of having David come in, have him first, get him in and get him out of here, and at least brief us what he's been doing and what he plans on doing the following week. I think it'd do very good communications to people.
I'll move that we make that a policy. And maybe it wouldn't hurt to have all department heads come in.
We've done that before, and that was a little clumsy a little bit. I think, like the fire department, not much really happens.
How about once a month for everybody else?
Yeah, possibly, something like that. But my biggest suggestion is at least the highway, we know, I mean, that's the biggest.
Why can't David simply, and I think it's a great idea, Glenn, but why can't he simply submit, if things are getting delayed, submit a to-do list, if you will, okay, for the next 3 weeks, and then every other week you have them in, and so then you got a week still in the hopper.
I think we can work that into this plan, but I will move that we ask David to attend every other selectmen's meeting. So he has an opportunity to bring us up to date, and that we we schedule all other department heads once a month. Second, all right, all in favor? All right.
Yeah, just make sure you put them on top of the agenda to get them in and out of here, get them back home with their family and stuff.
And we'll work out some sort of, some way to mix everybody into the schedule. Does that work? Good.
That's it for me.
I'd like to take this opportunity that I took over 3 months ago today. The ambulance has not required mutual aid in 3 months. We've made every call. I'd like to thank the people. I have not been on every call, but the people have. We have got 4 new members so far, and we have several more in the pipeline. And things are going really good. And just like to pass that along.
We got enough to open up a second squad yet? I'm just kidding. Start renting one out to another town. You guys are doing so good over there.
So now these new members, are they going to be sure training prior to 0 still? Are you going to be addition into that?
So I am. There was a class that was going to be in Langdon, and I followed up with the instructor, and his emails took forever to get back to me, and when I asked for his CREF numbers on the class, which is the course reference number from Concord, he didn't have any yet, and you need to have one within 30 days of the course starting for it to be a valid course. So I believe it starts in a week, and as of a week ago, there wasn't a CREF number, so I made the executive decision that we won't be spending any money on that class, because A, I'm not going to waste people's time if it's not accredited, and B, I'm not going to waste our money if it's not accredited.
Right.
So, the first week of January, there will be one starting in Walpole, Tuesday and Thursday nights. And anybody that's interested in that?
Thursday night. That's when Chris has to come.
Yeah.
That makes up all the week.
Right. But likely, I mean, starting in March, I'll be voted out of this position anyway, so I'll be good.
So there is plenty of other alternatives for you, Chris, if you want to get with me, and I'll find you a legitimate one. However, I asked to meet with him on a couple of occasions, and he was busy that day, and I didn't want to spend $1,800 to $2,000 to waste you guys' time.
Well, it's appreciated.
So,
I think you're doing a bang up job on everything.
And we
I'm
have-
staying on top of that one.
an accredited class that will be coming up in January, and there's already a craft number being generated for that one.
Great.
Other than that, I've tried to keep the budget down. My goal, and I know you talked about it earlier, my goal is to keep all of my down as much as I can, and anything that I didn't use, I'm going to try to get the necessary equipment so I don't need to ask for it next year's budget.
And as, if you were here earlier, we talked about having department heads starting to come in a couple weeks with the preliminary budgets for
Right.
their areas, so.
Right,
Yep.
and some of these are going to be rearranged, and
No problem.
some will be obsolete, and we'll do it a little bit different.
No worries. I would say, the message to everybody, I think, is to start with this year's numbers as a starting point and work your way down from there.
Absolutely, and as you can see, I'm at, I believe, 38% of the budget,
Yeah.
and it's my goal to not get anywhere near 100 with the necessary equipment. I have put out requests for bids from 3 different vendors for the necessary safety equipment, and I've got them down about $200 per unit from where we started with the 3 different bids.
Good.
So I hope to turn money back this year.
Well, and to be clear to everybody who still does not understand New Hampshire town budgeting, we can't spend 100% of what we have. We have to retain a percentage, which is unclear, but it's estimated to be around 10 to 15% of whatever we took in, we just can't spend. So every department kind of is in that same boat. But I want to emphasize, I don't want people to underspend trying to hit a number. I want you to get what you need to get. And, I hate it when we don't spend money and we just say, well, it goes back into the surplus and then it gets spent somewhere else or used for something else. Get what you need, don't budget for it next year. Exactly what you said. So I appreciate it.
Actually, that brings up one question on the truck there. We've got the truck for less than we approved the warrant article. Now, does that come out of that capital reserve account, the total amount, the 100?
It does.
So whatever remains then goes back into
Fund balance.
balance, okay?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I have a question then concerning that. Can you have the warrant article do it in a way that when such things as that happen, no, there's no way to do
Because
it?
you can't, you have to raise and appropriate
$8.
a dollar figure that you aren't going to exceed. You can go under, but you can't exceed.
But you can't withdraw, so if it's, they're not raising appropriate, you already have the money in your capital reserve.
You still have to name a dollar of what is going to come
Right.
out of a
That's
capital
what you're
reserve.
gonna withdraw out of that account.
If you're gonna take it all out of capital reserve, yeah.
Or anything out of capital reserve. I can't just say, I'm going to take some money out of capital reserve.
So underspend goes into the fund balance, not
Yeah.
back into the fund.
Correct.
Yeah, that's a problem, that's what.
Well, no, couldn't they just have another warrant article, designate that difference for a warrant article next year, go back into capital reserve?
Can that be done?
Well, that's a whole other question, we're short for the next truck anyways.
That'd be Joe calling your turn.
Yeah. So at the end of the year, yeah, you could absolutely do a warrant article saying we would like to put this $1.98 back into the capital reserve fund for truck.
But you don't know what that amount is, and you have to specify an amount to put into a capital
But
reserve fund.
after you've spent it, you can.
Which we could right now. If we took that $40,000 and you got the truck for $39,000, we know right now there's $1,000 left over.
Right, you could vote next year to take it out of
Right,
that, yeah.
we could put $1,000 back in the fund balance.
Right.
When would the truck come in? Do you remember?
It's right all taken out, look at your budget.
Yeah. Well,
It's at the very end. It's under. It's 4902,
Yeah, 108 and you
123.
123, something like that.
Well, it's right there, whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, I don't put that on.
Well, it's not on this one, it's on this one, it's on the budget.
So. All right, anything else, Glenn?
This is great.
You can take that, go ahead.
You don't need it?
I'm surprised.
I did that.
So,
I'll get another run.
so my next question to that is, I'm gonna ask for money this year for capital reserve. I am within about $100 of being able to get another ambulance with capital reserve. I expect this one to last 3 to 5 years, is what I'd like to see. Is there a way that if we had a catastrophic failure, I would like to ask for enough money this year. If there was a catastrophic failure, could it be replaced
Sure.
without?
No,
You-
not out of capital reserve, it has to be on the warrant.
Well, that's true, yeah.
So
You could increase you could put a warrant forth to increase the ambulance capital reserve fund for any reason you wanted. And if you want to just say we need to put another 25,000 in there and that gives you the buffer you want, so be it. But we have to vote to get that out. That's the catch.
I thought there was a way to answer.
Now, with that said, if a town faced an emergency and needed to spend outside of the normal channels, there are mechanisms out there that I don't
So that
understand.
could be done, because what I'm asking
If
is,
you totaled it,
right,
no, not you, but somebody else.
correct,
Somebody
but
must-
what I'm saying is I'd like to have the safety net of enough money there to replace it with an adequate vehicle. So if the motor went and it was gonna take $8,000
Right.
to replace the motor, to me, why would you put it into the 22-year-old truck? Why wouldn't you buy the new one?
It would get really sketchy on something like that.
You'd have to have a special town meeting.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That's all, you'd have to either have a special town meeting, or if it was at the end of the year and you were out of money, then you could ask, and you had enough surplus to pay for it, you could go and ask for you could have a hearing, and the selectmen have the right to spend it on an emergency, but it has to be okayed by DRA as a true emergency.
Right.
If they look at it for a true emergency. If it happened in December, they'd probably say no, because you could wait until
Keep it away.
January, a couple months. or
Oh,
a
let's
month.
keep it going.
Right.
If you'll,
Right. I would not, by the time you've got the special town meeting and everything,
Yeah.
it
But it's
wouldn't
what,
Did
work.
we do
2
that when
weeks, it's not gonna cost $8,000.
Yeah, I think it was for a police vehicle we did.
The police vehicle.
Yeah.
I have a question. If that ever happened, is there an option where you could rent
Yes,
something
there
into?
is.
Okay,
There is.
we would get really creative, and we would make sure that the town had something.
right.
And there's other things, like I assume we have insurance on vehicles too, right?
Yes, you get it, you pay you for.
So if the engine starts out a little squirrely and somebody wink out, incidentally put it into a tree.
You didn't say that. And you got an insurance appraiser right here.
Recorded, remember?
So I just wanted to figure a path forward with covering both bases without, we're gonna have no resale value on our current ambulance.
Don't say that. Might be a pretty good piece.
Well, I mean,
That's what everybody says.
comparably, I mean, a new truck is gonna cost anywhere from, you can spend anywhere from 90 to infinity on a new truck. We're only gonna get a few thousand for the old truck. I just wanna make sure that,
Well, these are things you should bring up when you come in to talk about your budget, your ideas, bring your ideas for warrant articles. You know, but the beauty about New Hampshire town meeting is, you know, anybody can bring anything. We can propose we hope that what we present to the voters, speaking for myself at least, are well thought out, rational things that make sense. And we,
If it doesn't make sense, the people won't vote for it.
yeah, they won't. Or sometimes they do. Sometimes they vote for things that make no sense. But that's the time to bring those ideas forward. And if you need to work with anybody or have any questions, capital reserve fund wise, funds the